Greetings, fellow exiles, and welcome to my MF Drain Contagion build. So, why am I playing Drain Contagion? Because it's Legion League. And Drain Contagion on Legion is just OP. I'm going to show you in a minute. But why am I playing MF? That's because I may or may not have wasted 12 Exalted on trying to 6-link a chest, which did not 6-link in the end, and then I was completely broke and I wanted to find a way to gather some currency. So I've been playing this character for 4 days now, and I played like 24 hours MFing, and I accumulated about 36 Exalted if I sell all these smaller currency things. I found 16 Exalted, just pure drops. And if I sell all the rest, it should be amounted to about 36 Exalted. So, why am I playing Essence Drain? First of all, it totally shits on Legion. It's just crazy. You're going to see it in a moment. And you can run every single map mod. So this is just the burial chambers, unidentified. I don't know which roles are on there. Let's just go for the showcase here. So what you're gonna do, you just cast 1 Contagion on a pack, and then you go for 1 Essence Drain. Okay, look, this is why Essence Drain Contagion shits on Legion. Oh my god, did you see the lag? The lag is because you freed the whole fucking Legion. Well, sometimes you have some side stragglers here and there, but you're freeing pretty much the whole Legion with just one single Essence Drain Contagion cast. Well, you are super squishy in this build as long as you don't have your flasks up. So this is why I actually died. Really good showcase. You only die if you don't have your flasks up. Otherwise, it's actually really hard to die because you have so much regen. It takes like less than 1 second to go back to full life because of the essence drain mechanic, which grants you, depending on how much damage you dealt, life regen. Okay, I just wanted to show you the Legion here. So you totally shit on the Legion. Most of the times you clear it 100%. So you have to be careful, because if you clear the Legion encounter for 100%, which means you unfreeze every single enemy, it will actually start before the timer at the top will go to 0. So that could kinda catch you off guard, so be sure to have your flasks up. Why do you need your flasks up? That's because we have shit resistances. We are actually at -15 on lightning here. This is why we are using a Alchemist's Bismuth flask. So this flask grants us 35 elemental resistances, and then you also roll 23% additional resistance and increased effect on there. So it actually grants you, we go from 15 to 63, so you get 78% additional elemental resistances from this flask, which could be way higher if you rolled it up to 30 additional elemental. Yeah, and the rest of your resistances you actually get from overcharged, from the endurance charges on kill there. The rest of the gear is pretty damn straightforward. Weapon, we are using kind of the unraveling Azamite stuff because of the +2 chaos gems. We're going to use our essence drain in here. +2 chaos gems and non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. Big damage right there. If you want to go for more damage, you can go for a multi-modded staff, which has either just +1 level of suckered gems and then you multi-mod, or you go for +1 suckered gems and +2 suckered chaos gems and then you multi-mod, which will increase your damage by like, I don't know, 80%, maybe even 100%. Helmet. You have 2 options here as well. The first option is not as expensive. It's just a rare helmet with some life, with some resistances. That's it. costs about 2 or 5 chaos if you go for 100 plus life, because you don't really need resistances, just go for life here. Other than that, I would highly recommend the Devotos. 20% increased movement speed is such a nice thing to have, feels really good on this build. Let's go over to our chest piece. I'm using a tabula, not even with +1 gems. Just a 6 link with my Bane in here. And you're going for something like Carcass Jack or a tabula with +3 gems. Or maybe even a Queen of the Forest, if you wanna pay a little bit more. So a normal tabula is like 13, 14 chaos. And the other chests are like 5, 6 exalted. So yeah, I'm chipping out on my build right here. The belt, Viscose Leash, pretty much the best belt you can have for a budget. Costs like 25, 30 chaos. 5% increased quantity and Rampage. Rampage is just crazy on MFing builds in my opinion, because you get increased damage from Rampage as well as increased movement speed. Feels really nice. If you don't want to use Viscose, if you want to go even further, like budget, you can go for a Perandos Blazon belt, which rolls up to 8% quant but doesn't have the Rampage. I really enjoy Rampage, it's just crazy. Of course, there's always the hyper expensive build with the Headhunter, which this league is like 85 to 100 exalted. It depends on how many are on the market, if there are any. But yeah, if you already have 100 exalted, you maybe don't really need to go for more magic finding. I don't know. Sadima's Touch as a glove, 10% increase quantity. Always go for 10%. It's like 20 chaos, maybe even only 15. If you want to go for something more expensive, you can go for the corruption of +2 AoE gems, which means your Contagion, your increased area of effect, and your Intensify will get +2 levels, which in return means your Contagion has a much higher area of effect. Really nice. Contagion needs as much area of effect as possible, so your chain reaction kinda hits everything on the map. For the boots, Goldworm, just make sure you get the 20% increased quantity. I am not a friend of chipping out on... Okay, let me... this one is sold, sorry dude. I think you should not chip out on quantity items, because you want to have the max roll quantity. Oh my god. Oh, mommy told me no. What the hell? I'm just going D&D here. So yeah, you don't want to really cheap out on quantity, because what's going to happen is you're going to play like 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe even 8 hours if you're unlucky with your quant gear on, and then you can already afford better quant gear. So if you don't want the hassle of buying cheap ones and then selling the cheap ones and then buying expensive ones, just buy expensive ones right away. These are like 1.2 exalted, maybe even 1 exalt only, so really cheap. Then Amulet, we have the Viscose color, 50% increased quantity. Straightforward, just go for the quantity. The increased rarity doesn't really matter. Rings, oh yeah, if you want to go for a more like expensive amulet, you can go for rare amulet, which has 10% quant roll on there, and then multimod around that, depending on the stats you need. Or you can go for, I don't know, maybe a Viscose with +1 curse or something like that, so you can have triple curse, or you can drop the drop Whispers of Doom up here, so you can save 3 more skill points. Rings, if you want to go really cheap and if you want to have more resistances, go for Thief's Torment, up to 16% quant. If you want to go middle price, go for the Paria with white sockets on there. So I have 2 of those with a white socket, which grants us 15% increased quantity per ring, which is maximum quantity you can get on rings. Ventors only rolls up to 10%, but these have 15. Problem with those is you pretty much only get the quantity. no resistances or anything, which means we have to use, if you use the Paria, you have to use Purity of Elements, which forces us into these mana reservation nodes. So if you want to spend more money, you can go for 2 Venturous Gamble with some really high quantity, like 9+ quantity, some nice draw life and resistance rolls as well, but you have to spend like, I don't know, like 5 Exalted per ring, and then you can drop Purity of Elements, you can drop these mana reservation nodes, and you can go for more damage, which is not necessary at all if you're going for low map farming. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for the gear. What you want to look out for is, if you're playing with the Tabula, I think going for a Basalt Flask and a Granite Flask is worth more than going for double evasion flasks. So if you don't want to go physical damage reduction, you can also go evasion, which would be a Jade Flask and a Stipnite Flask. Grants you big evasion, but I think you only need the big evasion if you're going for a Queen of the Forest here. So you get the movement speed. I think that's it. Pantheon doesn't really matter. You want Soul of Garukan for the increased movement speed. Other than that, I always like Brine King because of the stun and block recovery. You don't get stunned that often because you have Ghost Routes, but if you don't have Ghost Routes and you get stunned, you're dead. Pretty much 100% sure that you're going to die there. If you don't want to go for Brine King, you should go for probably Lunaris, because sometimes that's actually what I am doing as well. You're just jumping into a pack. That's stupid. You shouldn't do that. Just cast your Contagion from afar and then throw your Essence Drain in there. But I myself sometimes jump into the packs, and then Soul of Lunaris would be a good choice here. Ascendancy progression, I went for Patient Reaper first, 50% increased damage over time, super strong early game, then Ghost Dance and Escape Artist, some utility, some defense, and then go for Prolonged Pain for the 20% more damage over time. Okay, I think that's it. Really special, but you have 2 intuitive leaps in here to save some skill points because you're not going to reach a high level. This build is not made to reach a high level. I'm level 90 for the past 2 days because sometimes you die and you get like 0% XP in tier 5 maps. How do I sustain tier 5 maps? Relatively easy. Burial Chambers is a tier 5 map, which means we close every single tier 5 map on the Atlas. For this you just go tier 5, which will highlight all your tier 5 maps. Then you go over and purchase some Cartographer Seals, which is 3 White Sextants and 1 Scouring. This will close a white map on the Atlas. If you have this, just open your Atlas, right click the thing, and then left click on your tier 5 map. What you also want to do is, because you don't want to drop any tier 6 maps, you also want to close all tier 6 maps. To close those you need 3 yellow sextants plus 1 scouring, and then you use it on your tier 6 maps. And the tier 6 maps that are adjacent to your burial chambers, you have to shape and elder. So one of those maps you have to shape, the other you have to elder. So whenever you're going to drop a tier 6 map, it will alternate down to a tier 5 map. And since you don't have any tier 5 map connected to your burial chambers, and you don't have any tier 5 maps open, like completed, it will alternate into your burial chambers. So this is how many maps I got after 1 day. So this is like 1 day farming. I started with 4 burials and now I have 58 in my stash to run. So super easy to sustain. You don't even have to pick up all of the maps because you over sustain a little bit. So on average, after 10 maps, you will have like 13, maybe even 14 maps out of there. So you get a lot of maps, which you can sell as well for like 1.2 chaos if you're doing some bulk sales. But I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to stream until I probably can afford my headhunter, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. But as I said, 4 days, 35 exalted, so let's see if I can finish my journey to the headhunter within the next 8 days, or even just 1 week. Thank you for watching. I am Jay, and enjoy your magic finding.